In the next video, what we're going to do is have a look at prusiks. As with many of the subjects we've been discussing, the context really will dictate which one of these you're going to use. So what we're going to do is run through the pros and cons of each one, have a look at how to tie them, and then we're going to do that. We'll put it into context and see which prusik we're using for which job. There are more than the three I've got here, but these are the most common ones, so we're going to run through these quickly. The first one on the top here is called a classic. Advantages with a classic are it's very aggressive, so you get a very secure grip on the rope. It works in both directions, so there can be reasons why that's quite useful for you. And it requires very little cord to actually tie around the rope. So if you've only got a short prusik, then that type of style works quite well for you. The disadvantage with the classic is that aggressive bite. So if I pull down here, you can see it's putting a nice kink in the rope, but it won't be inclined to slip when it's loaded. It sort of jams up. Now in some circumstances that could be a really good thing, but if you're trying to use it perhaps to ascend or descend a rope, that's quite hard. You can see I'm pulling down on this and I can't get it to slip. And then even once I take my weight off of it, it's still not inclined to move. So that can be a disadvantage potentially. So that's the classic. Right, next. Here we've got a Klemheist. Like the classic, very aggressive grip on the rope. Once it's loaded, really unlikely to slip. However, it can, and we're going to look at that later on. You have to be really cautious with prusiks, but this one again provides a really solid grip on the rope. It only works in the direction of the pull through the head. If we call this the head of the knot, we're going to look at that in a bit more detail, but it's not multi-directional, this one. It'll only work in this direction. So when I pull down this way, the prusik locks. If I pull up that way, the prusik will slide. So that's a Klemheist. You need quite a bit of cord to get a Klemheist around a rope, but you can tie it with a sling as well. So lots of advantages for that, which we're going to look at in a little bit later. So let's pop that one out of the way. And then probably the most common prusik is this one now. This is the French prusik. So again, like the classic, it's multi-directional, so it will lock this way and it will lock that way, so that's quite good. Provides quite a secure grip on the rope. You can see because there's quite a bit of cord engaged here, we're getting a nice curl in the rope, which gives it a bit of security. But both a disadvantage and an advantage is that even under load, with a little bit of pressure here, it'll still slide. Now there could be a reason why you want it to be able to do that, but there could also be a reason when you don't want it to do that. It does mean that once it's loaded, moving it around is quite easy. Definitely a plus. Right, let's have a look at how we tie them. So you can see I've got the knot offset. I'm just going to wrap it around the rope now. Pull it through itself. And I'm just pulling on one side more than the other so that the knot stays offset, and then just have a good check of what's going on here to make sure it's super neat. Remember, this is just rope with cord wrapped around it. If you don't get these things perfect, they're going to fail quite spectacularly. So I've got some teeth here, if you think about these as teeth, gripping the rope, biting it. I've got the mouth there, which is holding it all together, and then here's the tongue with the knot offset, and I can clip the carabiner into here. Now then, if I sit back on that, You can see it's deforming, it's gripping really well. It doesn't want to slip, so that's a good thing. But the problem I might have with it, if I wanted to stand up now and move it up, it doesn't want to go because it's been loaded. So to release it, I need to find the mouth, the lip coming around the teeth, and just push that away from me like that. And now you'll find it slides easily again. So that's the classic. So the next one we're going to look at is the Klemheist. It's a little bit of a longer knot, so we need to be a little bit more attentive in making sure we're being super neat. Now, personally, I work with gravity with this one, so I'm going to work from the top down. And I'm going to make a little head here, and I'm going to keep it quite small. And then I'm going to wrap the rope with the cord, spiraling down the way, keeping it very neat, like a spring wrapping around a snake. I'm going to want 5 to 6 double wraps for this. Tend to go more for 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to come around. Now it's really important you keep the head small. Here's the long body, and now this is the tail. I'm going to pop the tail through the head. Now what's really important with a Klemheist is that the head, once you pull down on it, the head doesn't come past the end of the body here. If it does, if it's down here somewhere, the prusik won't put that nice aggressive kink into the rope. And that's one of the reasons why Klemheists can slip. So it's not the prusik itself, it's more pilot error, it's the way that you've tied it. So you really want that camming action going on, really pulling down tight on there. Now you'll remember we said this only works in one way, so if I do that, it'll just go up. I can't get it to lock going up. So this is going to work when I pull it down away from the head. So again, if we now clip into that. Like so. And I sit back on this one. Same again, really nice kink in the rope there, showing me that it's biting aggressively. So you can see the head's come to the end of the body now, but that's with my full body weight on it, so that's fine, it's under load, I'm happy with that. And this, there is no way I'm going to get that to slip. No way at all. It's really, really tight. There's so much friction here. Really reliable for that. The problem then is when I stand up, a little bit like the classic, it's not going to want to move in any direction. Just like the classic, you want to look for the rope that's coming over the top here. Push it away from you just a little bit. It doesn't take much, just a little flick, and then you'll find it'll start to slide quite happily again. That's the Klemheist. So the next one we're going to look at is the French prusik. Again, I want the knot offset so that it's not going to be right next to the carabiner when I clip it. And again, I tend to work with gravity, so I'm going to go down the way. And again, I'm looking for 5 double wraps, keeping it super neat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to make the other one up at the top like that. Bring the 2 loops together. Carabiner is going to go in there. There we go. Now, as we said, the French prusik will work in both directions. It works up. So I can pull down on it, and if I go down and pull up on it, it'll also work in that direction. So, nice multi-directional system. If I flip into it, this is the big difference with this one compared to the other two. So if I put my full weight on that, you'll get that distortion. That's normal. Freaks some people out, but that's pretty normal. That's why you need to be so neat with when you tie it. And what I can do now is if I grab this and pull down, it releases. Now that can be a good thing, as we said, depending on what context you're using it in, but it can also be a very, very bad thing. When it comes to prusiks, people like to know what diameter, what length, and how to tie them. It does depend on the diameter of the cord when you're trying to estimate the length. So these are 5mm, these prusiks. So for that you want about 1.2 meters to give yourself a prusik at this sort of length. If you're using 6mm, you might need a little bit more. So if you have a prusik that's a little bit too long, it's worth mentioning that you can always shorten it. Whereas if you have a short prusik and it's a bit too short, you're going to have to get more creative, aren't you? So finishing it off then, there's two main ways. So we have the full double fisherman going on here. We're going to have a look at that in a sec. Or there's nothing wrong with using an overhand knot. So I'm going to come past the tails here, good few centimetres up, and I'm literally just going to put in an overhand knot like that. Now I'm going to dress it really carefully, all 4 strands, and you'll notice I've got good long tails. When we split the overhand apart like this, we don't want it doing a bit of a flip-flop on itself and then rolling off the ends of the knot. Now if that's making you shiver a little bit, just think about that's how we tie 2 ropes together to abseil off, and that's fine. As long as your tails are long enough, it's not a problem. Personally, what I do is when I've got a new prusik and I've tied it like this, I'll then actually weight it. So I'll clip it to, you know, something in the house and actually hang on it just to cinch that knot in really nice and tight. So that's a overhand knot with nice long tails. Tail wants to be a good 3 to 4 fingers long. Cinch that tight. Right, so with the next tail, you're going to do the opposite. So this one I initiated by going away. So for here, I'm going to initiate by coming towards me. I'm going to work back towards the knot. Again, I've got that good 3 to 4 fingers with the tail there. Dress the knot. And that's what we're looking for. The question that we get asked loads is, how do you wrap your prusik that neatly? So here we go. Golden top tip. Find the knot. For me, 4 fingers above the knot. And I'm going to fold it over my hand like that. Now all I'm going to do is wrap this rope around from the knot towards the head here, just like you would for a prusik. Just keep going, and then when you get to the end, you're going to put the tail through the head. Pull it tight. Hey presto, that's now ready to hang out on my rescue crab on the back of my harness.